the New York Times has just run a piece of blatant anti-Christian bigotry, specifically anti-Catholic bigotry, not even so much in the text of the article, but in the picture that they chose. They chose this picture, which is an image of Our Lady, of Mary. And instead of her showing her Immaculate Heart, she's showing an American flag. And the headline is, "Your values are not American values." So the image is specifically anti-Catholic. But then the text of it is just broadly anti-Christian. It's written by some woman named Pamela Paul. And I'll just give you a little taste of the article, because it tells you a lot about our journalist class. Whenever a politician cites Judeo-Christian values, this is how the piece begins, I find it's generally followed by something unsettling. Last month brought two flagrant instances. Ryan Walters, Oklahoma's superintendent of public instruction, said learning the Bible is necessary to having an understanding of the basis of our legal system. Forgive me for wondering, is he referring to an eye for an eye or the stoning of disobedient children? Okay, I'm going to pause right here. Even if you're the biggest Reddit tier, fedora-tipping, neckbeard atheist in the entire world, can you really dispute that the Bible is an important book? It's an important book to understanding our law, our history, our culture. Perhaps you would say the most important book ever written, even if you don't believe it, even if you think it's false or if you think it's bad. It is the book that has shaped our entire civilization. She denies this. This writer in the New York Times seems to deny this. And then, speaking of Reddit tier, neckbeard, fedora-tipping atheism, says, "Oh, forgive me for wondering, does he think that an eye for an eye is a great basis for our legal system, or maybe the stoning of disobedient children?" So first of all, there is a distinction understood from the Christian perspective between the different types of laws in the Old Testament, some laws being juridical, some laws being liturgical, some laws being moral. And the fullness of the prefigurations of Christ in the Old Testament come about at the incarnation, and this transforms our understanding of God and ourselves and our place in the cosmos. And it doesn't abolish the law, not a jot or tittle, but it does fulfill the law. And that's a conversation that this woman is not even close to being ready for. But even just use this first one, an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye has been the basis not only of a legal system in Christian civilization, but I don't know, like Hammurabi's Code. I don't know, the notion that one must be punished in a way that is commensurate with the crime committed. Yeah, that is a kind, at least a basic intuition of justice, even if it doesn't tell you the whole story, even if there's much more to say about it. She goes on. Their goal, these Christians, is to impose one form of religion, Christianity, and the underlying message is that those who do not share it will have to submit. Despite what the Christian nationalist movement would have you believe, America was not founded as a Christian nation, nor is it one today. In a pluralistic country, neither the Bible nor Judeo-Christian values are universal, including in the two heavily Christian southern states in which these laws were passed. Put a pause right here. The Christian's goal is to impose Christianity, and those who don't share that view will have to submit. We just concluded Pride Month, and during Pride Month, a particular and dubious moral and ethical system was shoved down the throats of everyone, including elementary school children, and pride flags were raised in public buildings, in schools, painted on sidewalks, and if you don't go along with it, you will be punished for that. You'll be punished in your workplace. You'll be punished in school. Who knows? You might be prosecuted. If you burn an American flag, you probably won't be prosecuted. If you burn a pride flag, see what happens when the cops come knocking on your door. I'll get to the rest of it in just a moment because there's so much nonsense in here. I don't want to miss it. Go to hallow.com/Knowles. It would be easy to toss your discipline to the side for the summer, but you don't live a life of greatness by taking the easy route. With Hallow, you can embark on a journey of exploration this summer. The Hallow app offers an incredible range of guided meditations and prayers that are designed to help you strengthen your relationship with God. From gratitude to forgiveness, each session offers a unique experience. Choose different lengths of meditation to fit your schedule, whether you have a few minutes or an hour. With its user-friendly interface and hundreds of guided meditations, the Hallow app has become a go-to resource for Christians. You can download the app for free at hallow.com/Knowles. Hallow is a tool thousands of subscribers have used to deepen their faith. Don't lose your prayer habits this summer. Maintain your peace and deepen your relationship with God on Hallow. Download the Hallow app today at hallow.com/Knowles, K-N-W-L-E-S. That is hallow.com/Knowles for an exclusive 3-month free trial of all 6,000 plus prayers and meditations. Something very important to do for your personal growth is to pray. Also do it because you owe it to God. So make sure that you get your prayer life in order. Hallow can help. Check out hallow.com/Knowles. She says, America is not founded as a Christian nation. Again, you don't need a PhD in American history to recognize that, beginning with Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus came and discovered the Americas in an effort to fund a new crusade, so devout a Christian was he. Then, let's fast forward a little bit to 1620. The Pilgrims, who founded Plymouth Colony and were some of the very first Americans, and in the American self-understanding, really are the people who planted the seeds for what would become the United States of America. The Pilgrims were extreme religious zealots whose holiday is called Thanksgiving. Who were they giving thanks to? I'll give you a hint. It was God, and it is their version, their understanding of the Christian God. Even the founding fathers, many of whom were deists, many of whom were Enlightenment-influenced thinkers who were far from Orthodox Christians, even they acknowledged that America is a Christian country. John Adams, who sometimes is cited as being evidence that America is not a Christian country because he signed the Treaty of Tripoli, which to get Muslim pirates to stop imprisoning and enslaving American sailors in a diplomatic treaty said America is not a Christian country. But and that was a treaty actually negotiated by a Jeffersonian diplomat, but that's also a story for another time. John Adams said explicitly, we don't need to wonder about what he thought from the esoteric readings of a diplomatic document. He said, the general principles on which the revolution was fought and independence was achieved are the general principles of Christianity. John Jay, another founding father and author of The Federalist, first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, said, thank God that America is a Christian country founded by Christians. I hope we always remain this way. I'm paraphrasing somewhat. Beyond the founding fathers, the national anthem, written in the early 19th century, says this, and thus be it ever, when free men shall stand between our loved home and the war's desolation, conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto, in God is our trust. That wasn't written in the 20th century. That was written in the early 19th century, before the Civil War even. It said, this be our motto in America, in our national anthem, in God is our trust. Abraham Lincoln's speeches, the second inaugural, the Gettysburg Address, use language straight out of the King James Bible. Then, in God we trust is added to our currency and into the Pledge of Allegiance in the 20th century. And on and on and on. I'm just giving you a few examples to show you that throughout all of American history, we have recognized that America is, broadly speaking, a Christian country. So the first thing that strikes me, and this thing goes on, but the first thing that strikes me about this New York Times piece is the ignorance. This woman just has no idea what she's talking about. But the second thing that strikes me is the obliviousness. When she says they want to make you submit to their beliefs. Yeah, well, lady, you just finished Pride Month. You demand that we submit to your beliefs, not just on pride, but on all of liberalism, even on the rejection of Christianity in American public life. That is a liberal demand, and it's a totalitarian demand. You're demanding that we, Christians, give up our beliefs to buy into your nonsense ideology. And you are far more authoritarian in your insistence upon that than any Christians are in America. Then here's the kicker. While most of the Ten Commandments involve universal principles and moral precepts can be found in the Bible, not everyone draws ethical guidelines from religion. And when the Ten Commandments say, thou shalt have no other gods before me, the implication is there is one true God. That is decidedly not true for all Americans. Line by line. While most of the Ten Commandments involve universal principles, what makes a universal principle? Notice she gets it backwards. I think good evidence that a principle is universal is that it's in the Ten Commandments, because those come from God himself. She thinks it goes the other way around. Well, no, we know the universal principles, and maybe some of Christianity fits into that. Well, okay, where do you get your universal principles from? Well, she's maybe deduced those principles from reason. Okay, I believe in that. I'm a natural law guy. I believe that the natural law is inscribed in every human heart, and that we can know universal moral truths through reason. We can know the existence of God with certainty from human reason. How do you know your reason is reliable? How do you know that? Why can you trust what your reason says, in as much as you trust it? The only way that that's possible is if the universe is intelligible, and if there is an intelligence which created the universe, and if you have some of that intelligence, if, in other words, you are made in the image and likeness of God. To trust your own reason, to come to certain conclusions about universal moral principles or whatever, implies, whether you want to admit it or not, that you believe in God. And to attack Christianity for saying, and Judaism for saying, thou shalt have no other gods before me, the implication is that there's one true God. Well, yeah, I mean, if there's such a thing as God at all, which there necessarily must be, then there will be a true God, and there will be lots of false gods, because we can distinguish between truth and falsehood using our reason. That's how you supposedly came to your universal principles, lady. And she obviously believes that there is one true God. For her, it's the one true God of liberalism, which is really just the worship of the self. She's saying that. She's saying, Christians, your God is false, my liberal God is true, and you will bow down before my liberal God, and you will shut up and get out of public life. That's what she's saying. There's one true God. That is decidedly not true for all Americans. No, you're saying that all Americans should worship only the self. But the problem with that is then you have a lot of different little gods, and you're all very jealous gods, all of you individuals, and so you're going to impose your irrational will on everybody by telling Christians to shut up in public life. Your religious values are not American values. Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. It's the ignorance is striking because, 50 to 60 or 70 years ago, a grade school child would understand the basic aspects of American history that this New York Times journalist denies. But it's the obliviousness. What she inveighs against as being authoritarian and infringing on the religious rights of others in Christianity, she herself is imposing in a far more authoritarian and irrational way. They don't even know. Yes, the journalists lie. Yes, the journalists are corrupt and deceptive, but they're also just so ignorant and oblivious. If you ever attempted to give them credit, you do not have to do it. That was a great clip. Now, hold up, ring the bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.